and welcome once again to Ghost Reviews. I am your host, Ghost, and I will be giving you commentary on your current speed roll that is in front of you today. So get yourself a cup of coffee, make yourself comfortable beneath the blankets if you are in the winter, or if you're in summer, just, have a fun day. And I will be telling you a bit more about this character that I am drawing over here. So yeah, let's get into it. Especially the background, because we're starting up with that. So, this specific character is actually fairly new next to the other characters that you have seen me draw thus far. While my fantasy story started off in my grade 12 year, and the clowns came out somewhere in, I think, first or second year of university, this girl, along with the other characters of the Merryweather Apartments, all kind of started existing in my mid third year of university. And yes, originally I did intend to make the three characters siblings, each with some kind of mental disorder, to make it hard for them to come out into the real world and function like normal human beings. They cannot even communicate with each other, now they have to communicate with other people. I just wanted it to be like completely a dysfunctional family, and that was the original intent. Casey, the character that I'm drawing right here, was thus originally supposed to be the middle child. The one that's always ignored, gets to do their own thing. If they're pregnant, no one cares. Of course, as the time went on, I figured that the last thing people would want to see is yet another set of wacky siblings. Especially when they are young, people tend to lean more towards the, oh, they're siblings kind of factor, which isn't always the best idea. So instead, I created the Merryweather Apartments idea, which takes in struggling adults, very struggling adults, and let them stay in cheap yet sketchy apartments in the cheap and sketchy apartment complex until they can get on their feet again. But for now, we're just gonna focus on the shut-in of the group, Casey. So yeah, Casey Anderson, that's her full name. She is a socially anxious shut-in who prefers the comfort of indoors above interacting with other human beings, like normal people her age would. And it has become such a problem that she cannot even do normal things like going outside to do grocery shopping, ordering a simple coffee at a cafe, even going into a bookstore and finding some reference material. She cannot function like that. She did want more independence, though, despite her social awkwardness. So her parents decided to move her into this weird ass apartment complex to pursue her dream of being of drawing questionable content for questionable clients, if she even does get clients. I mean, she is an artist at this stage. Oh, and my boyfriend said she reminds him so much of me. So take that how you want to. I was not reflecting on this character, it's just like a few key points that I really wanted to see in a character, so I created her. And, for this character specifically, I actually did lean towards the otaku side, like, she she is an anime fan and a manga fan, and she's also a hikikomori and a fujoshi. A hikikomori is basically just a Japanese term for a shut-in who kind of cut themselves off completely from the outside world, and a fujoshi is a girl who likes BL. Alright, so let's continue. The drawing itself. I'm not gonna lie. It took me forever to convince myself to finally draw like full body versions of all the Merryweather Apartment characters. I always did struggle with like the color scheme since I wanted her to be more natural looking, but I also wanted her to stand out in a crowd as somewhat of an oddball. So eventually I did decide to just give her shocking red hair, definitely dyed, not her natural hair color. I gave her glasses because her eyesight has worsened drastically thanks to being behind a screen all day. And I gave her a hoodie that half covered the fact that she was an otaku. And of course Converse, because that's my favorite shoe, and I think it's the most comfortable. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably could have just given her Flip-flops. It's the easiest thing to get in and out of, and especially for shut-ins, they're more geared towards the comfort side of life than like the what looks good side of life, you know? So that was kind of what I was going for there. And the first time I drew her, she actually did look a bit different. And I really wanted to lean into the whole Fujoshi concept while creating her. So the first time in the first picture, she had a bleeding nose while she read some manga. And nowadays, I've gotten rid of her ponytail, and I don't know, it reminded me too much of almost every other main character. Yeah, wounded main character that I've ever created. So I decided, hey, let's change it up a bit so she has a half updo kind of thing. And also I wanted to give her a bit more long, greasy-ish hair, but not too long because it gets in your way if your hair is too long. You do not take care too much of yourself if you are behind the screen the whole day. So, I also did a bit of research of mangaka themselves, and I wanted to lean towards that. Even though she wasn't one, I wanted to give over the feeling what her job kind of would be. But yeah. Then I replaced her black hoodie with a yellow one. Because, I don't know, if it's all black, it kind of looks too dark for me and too emo, and I already had another emo character, so I had to change this one up even just a little bit. And red and black and white. Red, black, and white. Those were the main colors that I wanted to work with, but the yellow kind of makes it better. It's kind of like primaries going in here, but like light, soft primaries, and yeah, that it actually does harmonize quite well. I did not expect that, but she looks quite good. But now that I think about it, her color scheme does remind me of two things. One is Yongi from I Love You, which is on Webtoons, and two is, of course, the McDonald's logo, because, of course, it is. Yellow and red, always McDonald's, man. And I also gave her a little more meat on her bones, since shut-ins usually have, they lack a lot of exercise. When they sit the whole time, they don't exercise a lot. So, and they eat a lot of junk food. They are on a time crunch, they have to eat quite a lot to work, but they don't exercise because they don't have time for it. So it's kind of an unhealthy kind of way. But anyway, let's look into some art tips, since I think that is why most of you guys are here anyway. So, you've probably seen in my clown series already that I've focused more on, like, colorful characters and black backgrounds. And a flat and gradient type of shading. In my fantasy series, though, I try to create more of a natural-looking background, while using more gradient shading, so it kind of looked more 3D even though it was 2D. In this series, however, I lean back to more of the marker type of style that I had back when all that I had were cheap-ass markers. That was a very fun period for me, and even though I usually colored in outside of the lines, it was fun to create not things that looked perfect, you know? I don't know if other people understand it that much, right? When you create something, it's not about perfection, it's about what's the feel that you get from this, right? And this character, especially, this entire series with these characters in, they kind of give me that we are adults, but we don't look like adults. We're not emotionally ready for adults. So kind of giving that feel like we're all still mentally immature, you kind of have a more immature look to it. That is the vibe that I am going for, right? There's nothing specific that they have to do. They're just a bunch of weird-ass adults that don't get anywhere in life, which is sad for them. But yeah. Anyway, let me give you my first tip for today, which is simple isn't always bad. People often like to add more detail to drawings to ultimately be able to draw realism. But guess what? Art is all about self-expression, not aiming for photorealism. If you can do photorealism, however, good for you. I cannot do that. It's too much time and effort, but yeah, art isn't supposed to be, hey, let's try and recreate a photo. The art is, I'm going to try and create something completely new, out of this world, original, and put, of course, my own flavor to it. So we try to create something unique. especially with this drawing, I found out that 2D kind of shading actually does look good. Even though I didn't add half as much detail as I usually would. I was actually sick when I drew this, so I didn't really want to put too much effort into it, and I didn't, and it still looks fairly good. I mean, if you look at it, well, you're not seeing the end result right now, so look at the end of the video, and you will see it still looks, well, pretty good. Not the best, but it's a full body drawing, and I'm not used to those, so, yeah. The second tip that I have for you guys, and I'm kind of preaching to myself over here, but it is to practice those damn hands. It should come as no surprise to you that I am bad at drawing hands. I usually do portraits, so hands and feet aren't really my strong point. That's why I usually draw characters with shoes on them, and the hands are usually hidden in a hoodie in a pocket behind the back. But it doesn't stop me from trying, though. Still, I added that crippled ass looking hand with way too much detail in it, and yeah, even though I knew it would turn out bad, I still drew it. And yeah, I do believe that this actually gave me a wake-up call to start practicing more hand poses and stuff. And it would help, actually, if you kind of broke down the hand into its finer structures, right? You've got the palm, which is kind of like a, I think someone said it looked like a flask form. And then you've got the fingers that come out as kind of bean. Every digit is a little bean. Yeah. But anyway, probably watch another video if you want to know how to draw hands, because I'm not the best person to ask about that. But yeah, let me just move on to my last tip, because I can actually tell you guys about that. And the third tip, of course, is to practice human anatomy. I don't believe I often tell you guys this, but it is important to practice. I personally did an entire Udemy course on human limbs and torsos and whatnot, but even just copying poses off of the internet does count as practice, and I used to do that a lot, but it might be best to try and look at the proportions as well, because I looked at my earlier work, and even like the fan art that I did for Archidearist, the head was great, because faces I drew ever since, I think, the 8th grade. So that's not the problem. The problem with me was the proportions. How big should the head be in proportion to the body? The shoulders were always wide enough, but it kind of just narrowed into some kind of flat body. And one of the things that you guys can do, which I actually did when I was drawing the legs, is, you know, that kind of spiral circle thing? You can draw that on the body and the arms and the limbs and whatnot to kind of give the 3D-ish feel to it, so you can create more, I want to say, well-rounded characters. It's a very hard thing to actually make a 2D character look 3D without using 3D shading. And it takes a lot of practice, but yeah, if you guys just if you guys practice even just like once a week or something, I guarantee you it will help you out. And practice was actually the only way that I could draw Casey's kind of pear-shaped body, even though we didn't really do other types of bodies than the natural one. I do tend to give more meat to my female characters, because skinny, even though it is like the preferred body type, especially when you look at characters like Wednesday Addams, it doesn't look very good. I don't know if that makes sense for you guys, but this is coming from a female. I could be wrong. I am a bit chubby myself. That's an understatement. I'm quite fat. But yeah, it's something to look at, definitely. Look at other references. I use a lot of plus-side character references when I draw characters, especially like this one. And skinny. I don't know. A fat girl and a skinny-ass boy that's tall. Those two are kind of my go-to characters when I create them. But yeah, I'll probably also have to try out some muscular men sometime. But yeah, and probably have to look at other female body types too. For now, I think that is actually all that I wanted to say for you guys. I do hope that you guys did like watching this speedrun of Casey and hearing some lore about her existence. She is a pretty fun character to draw, since she rarely emotes, and those types of characters are just golden for me. Except, well, when she's reading some questionable manga, but she's definitely a recurring character in my books. I would like you guys to also check out my social media in the description box below if you are interested in finding the end result of the speed paint or the speed draw. If you also want, you can go look at my Redbubble account or an artistry if you would like art pieces or artworks just like this one. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this far. You guys' support means the absolute world to me and makes it possible for me to keep creating content just like this. So thank you very much. But yeah, that unfortunately brings me to the end of this video, so please stay safe and I will see you guys next time. Bye!